Snowstorms bring out the best in Minnesotans, as we've recently been reminded after the state was dumped with over 2 feet of snow. ICE agents dragging neighbors out of their cars and invading local neighborhoods also brings out the very best in Minnesotans. For more than 3 months, an army of women and men are showing up at a church in the southern metro where Miguel Aviles is a pastor at VIñA Church. And he joins me now on Life Unscripted.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much
It's a pleasure to meet you. We've talked on the phone. I was at your church yesterday, and I had a chance to meet a number of the volunteers. I mean, there are many. This is quite the operation. And we're going to talk about all of the people and how you've managed to do this, I mean, really relatively quickly since, the ICE situation here in the state of Minnesota. But we know you're a familiar face. And if you can explain how you started this massive community organization of delivering food and other goods for families.
We didn't start it in December of last year. We've been there for many years. But right before December, we were doing it on Mondays. Not home deliveries, but food distribution. People will come in. We were doing an average of 400 families per week and an average of 18,000 pounds of food. And but this came, we were not ready. Even though we've been doing this for so many years, we've never done home deliveries. Well, yeah, maybe once in a while, somebody. But it was maybe 2-3 orders within a year, home deliveries. We got to the point where we were doing over 5,000 home deliveries in 1 week. When this came, I started putting posts on social media saying that we needed help because many families were really afraid to go out. And maybe the second week, there is a lady who she's been following us for some years now. And you know how on social media you read something, even though it's in another language, it translates for you. So
Right.
She read it and she commented, "Hey, how can I help?" And I sent her a direct message saying, "We do need a lot of help.
Yeah.
Okay, and we need volunteers and we need food." And she started sharing it, and we started getting donations. The first person that came to donate groceries, it was her own mom. I remember it was on a Tuesday. There was a blizzard. So she came in before the blizzard. She came in. We packed those food. My wife and I and another lady, we ended up doing 9 deliveries on that Tuesday. And I think, I remember it was the first or the second week of December. We did
Right.
9 deliveries. In the middle of the blizzard, I remember it was almost 9 p.m. My wife and I were in Richfield in Bloomington doing home deliveries. Up until that moment, it was church members.
Explain a little bit about what's happening in the Latino community, and I know that what you're doing is really spread out throughout the metro area in southern Minnesota. But what are some of the stories that you have heard and maybe even seen about, for instance, ICE taking people away, or what have you been hearing, and what are people saying that they need?
I keep on saying, this is not over. I don't know if I thanked you yesterday, but I thanked so many volunteers. And I looked at their faces and I said, thank you for being here. Thank you for understanding that this is not over yet. Because the damage has already been done. People hasn't worked for 3 months. Can you imagine the damage? Some of them had some savings. Many of them didn't have any savings. And so this is what we've been hearing. We get text messages, we get messenger, we get emails, we get calls from people from our community saying, please help me. Some of them are saying, I need food. Many more now are saying, I need help with rent.
And some people, they can't make car payments, right? And their cars are being taken away. So then, of course, not only are they not leaving their homes, being able to get somewhere, to get to a job, if now all of a sudden you throw into the mix that they don't have transportation to get there.
we haven't talked about the spiritual side of it. The what's the word I'm looking for? The mental damage that it was done to families. Sometime in January, a lady that was volunteering in the community, she came to pick up groceries for families she knows. And she said, "You have a moment, Pastor?" And I said, "Yes." She said, "Would you pray for my daughter?" In the past, she suffered with something where she wanted to take her life. And now it came back. And, she went to school and she came in very sad. And I said, "Can we talk? Can we talk about how you feeling?" And she said, "Mom, I don't want to talk." She said, "Well, at least can you write it down?" And she sent me a long text message saying, "Mom, I didn't want to share this with you because you already have so much on your plate trying to take care of us. And these are people with legal status. The kids were born here. The lady, minimum, she's a legal resident. I didn't ask, but if she's out doing deliveries and all that kind of stuff, and at least she's a legal resident." So she said, "Pastor Miguel," and she wrote this to me, and I was reading it and basically saying, the girl, 15 years old, she said, "I went to school today and I was so sad. I didn't want anybody to notice that."
No, it's traumatizing. I mean, that not only are they concerned about, their families, but they're hearing stories. It's everywhere on the news. This is a multi-layered, not only traumatic, but an economic effect on these communities who are really just still afraid to leave their homes and go to work. And the kids are not going to school.
It's beyond of what we can imagine. I was interviewed by someone from the Birch, and she said, "Pastor, I wanted to talk to you about things that the media is not talking about. We're talking about Renee, we talk about Alix, and that's huge news, right? But there's other things that we should be talking about it. For example," she said, in 2017, when this same government was in power, there was a community. There were communities that were devastated too, but I cover a community of like 7,000 people. And she said, "Up until this moment, I'm still in touch with those families. They were devastated. There was mainly 70% Hispanics. They were so devastated that up until this moment, I'm still talking to them, and they haven't been able to recover." So she said, "I'm concerned about what has been happening here in the United States, specifically right now in Minnesota."
To me, this is the one positive story out of all of this, is how people feel about their neighbors and taking care of each other. Because truly, this state, the city of Minneapolis, Minnesota metro area, we are showing the rest of the country how to take care of each other and what we do when something like this is happening, which is, it's devastating to just even to watch, but to know that people are experiencing this and people are sitting at home with not enough food. But I mean, you have this pretty incredible operation. At one point you had thousands, like maybe in the early part of December.
No, it was December was just starting. In the middle of January, the whole February, and part of March, that's where we had the majority of the volunteers the numbers that I was sharing with you, over almost 10,000 volunteers in that data.
Building momentum since
Yes.
December.
BBC was there, and he made a comment. He said, "Pastor Miguel, even Amazon will be impressed with your
delivery service."
He came in on February 14, and that day we did almost 2,400 home deliveries in a single day.
In a single day.
10 a.m. to 4 p.m. But you mentioned something about the community. Alix, I haven't had a day off
in a long time, I'm guessing.
Since December.
I mean, this is what you do. This is your mission as a pastor. And you said you had a calling, but who would have known at the time when you decided to start up a church here that this would happen, and that there is such a need clearly for people, that you knew it. People knew to come to you, and that you must have some crazy organizational skills as well, because I know you said you're pretty much the point person, a few others, but generally at La Viña, many threads to this organization, and it's impressive.
Thank you. So people ask, are you tired? And my answer, I'm like, if I'm really honest, yes, I am. By seeing you here, showing up with groceries or others, showing up to help, or seeing you more than one time, God is speaking to us, you're not alone. I send you all these people to help you. I send you people with groceries. Most of the groceries that we donate, it was donated by people. They didn't just send them money. No, they went with their own money and purchased the food and brought it to us. We seen young people, mid-aged people. We seen elderly, a lot of elderly.
Yes.
I remember one story. A lady, I looked at her face and I said, thank you for doing this. And her face, I'm not really good with names, but I remember faces. And I said, I've seen you before. And she said, yeah, Pastor, my husband and I have been coming here at least 3-4 times. And she said, I told my husband that for some time we're not going to be going out to eat. We're already retired. We're not going to be going out to eat because we're going to use the money to purchase groceries to help out the community.
Wow.
I cry in front of her and
Yeah.
I give her a hug and I say, thank you for doing this. You know why, Alex? In my mind, I'm like, this lady and her husband worked her whole life to retire and to be resting at home. And here we have them, you know. She's, at least she was 70 years old.
And she's making that decision to say, hey, we're going to forego going out for dinner a couple times a week or however, and saying the money that would be used to go to dinner, we're going to put forward to purchase, to buying food and then donating them.
So when I was tired, I think of all the help that the Lord has sent to us. And I said, I need to go out there. I cannot be tired. Usually, for the past at least 5 years, 6 years, my wife and I get sick in December. After the 15th, I know my wife and I will be sick. Even not 25, but in 2024, December 24, my wife and I even skipped church. We never skip church, but we skipped church because we were really sick. In December, I was praying. I said, God, you know, I cannot get sick. Our community needs us, so please protect us. Alex, we haven't gotten sick this December or throughout all this time because God has been protecting us even from that.
Pastor Miguel, we are going to pause for just a moment, but we know we're going to continue this conversation because the need is great, but we are going to take a quick break and I'll be right back with Life Unscripted. It's that time of year where the air is dry, our skin is dry, and we need hydration. We need a facial in a bottle, and you can find that at Love Indus. Also, they have a serum that is beautiful, Botox in a tube. These products will nourish and they'll plump your skin. They are fantastic, and I have a deal for you. In fact, you can get 21% off of all the products at loveindus.com. That's where you can find them. Also, look in my show notes and click on the link for 21% off for great skincare with Love Indus. I'm wondering, plenty of people are donating money to different organizations, but in this, well, what I saw yesterday was, I think it's not only people's hearts realizing that this is a way to help, but there is something that people miss. And what they're getting out of this experience is a community of people together for a specific purpose of helping people. And that, do you think that there is a kind of a craving, a need for that now more than ever?
Community? Mm-hmm. I think so. We have, and I don't want to get into politics, but we have been so divided in the last decade or something, maybe less. But we have been so divided that it's so hard. Every time I get on social media, I think of those things, not only because I'm a pastor, we're a church, but also in general. I mean, there's so one word, one phrase can trigger something, and we are all divided. Even in my household, as a Christian, I supported President Trump. I'm for some things, but even within my own children, we have been divided. And I said, well, I'm a pastor, I'm a Christian, I know the Bible, and I'm for these things. And he said, yeah, my kids are, especially one of my kids, have been saying, but no. And then
you don't want to get into politics, but it's hard to understand from where you're at with this operation and helping people, how you would have been supportive of Trump, for instance, or the idea. You said you're behind some of the ideas of maybe immigration status, but I mean, there must be some conflict going on in your soul.
let me see if I can express this with how it's in my heart. Most of us came into this country looking for a better life for ourselves, for our children and our grandchildren, for our generations. We're fleeing poverty. We're fleeing. I'm from
fleeing
Mexico.
countries that they don't feel safe in.
Violence. We're fleeing all that. So we came here looking for a better place to live and better economy. I'll be honest with you. We want to have a better life.
Right.
And we are most of us are really hardworking people. I remember in the beginning, I had two jobs. I would work 18 hours a day to support my family because I wanted to live in a good place. I want to make sure that my family was good. And so we are for criminals to be out of this country because we want a safe place for our families. So, but that's not what we've seen.
Right. That is not what we're seeing. And I don't know that many people would disagree with that. That, yeah, we don't, if you are a criminal, and especially if, as what was being said, the worst of the worst, we are seeing that is not the case at all, without any due process either, that this is just happening, by looking at the color of someone's skin or going through a community and truly terrorizing people. I still can't believe we're here, but it gives me hope. It gives me hope, and I'm not even somebody of brown skin or that this is what is going to help us get through this is the uniting of people.
When we come together.
We come together. Doing what's right because we see what's happening is not right, and that we feel strongly about our communities and our neighbors.
Yes, we've seen that. When I moved to Minnesota, I didn't know that Minnesota had a phrase that how Minnesota is known. Minnesota nice.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes, it's good. But I have never experienced it as I have experienced in the past 3-4 months. People coming to help people they don't even know. It's not your culture. It's not your language. I'm like, I try to look at people's faces and to say, thank you for doing this. And you know how they reply, Alix? They're like, thank you for having this such a wonderful setting for us to come in and volunteer. And in my mind, Alix, it's like, well, I don't say this to our volunteers, to our Americans volunteers, but in my mind, it's like, well, I'm doing it because I have a call. I'm a pastor, right?
Right.
Supposed to do good. I'm a Christian. You're supposed to do good, which a lot of people don't have to be Christians to do good, but I'm putting all these things, right? So I'm like, I'm doing this because I'm a Latino. I'm a dark skin. This is my community. And I think I said it to one person. I didn't say everything, but at least say, this is my community. This is the Latinos. And they're like, this is my community too. These are my neighbors. I'm like, thank you. Thank you for seeing that. I preach almost every Sunday. And I preach about being better for God and for people. Being better for God because what he has done for us, he gave his only son to die on the cross for us, for our sins. And I'm like, we need to become better for the community that has been there for us during this very difficult time. And I said that, I remember praying, I'm like, what should I preach about next Sunday? And I decided to pray about that, to preach about that because there was a message that a lady commented on one of our posts on Facebook. And she said, thank you, Laviña, because you have been here with us throughout this time. She said, there was a night where I was really concerned. I was really worried because I didn't have anything to eat. And I went to God and I prayed and I said, I don't have anything to eat. Can you help me? And she said, when I got done praying, I went to Facebook and I saw a post about Laviña doing distributions. But even then, I thought to myself, no, there are so many people in need. They're not going to be able to bring me food. And she said, a couple of days later, there was food in my door. She said, I was standing in the window and I noticed an elderly lady who dropped off the food. She went back to her car and I waved at her and I say, thank you. And she said, I love you. And she made a heart like that. She's explaining all that. And she continues to say, thank you for doing that. Because of that, I want to, for now on, be a better person, and I don't want to let you down. The flower you sent me, and I think it was on February 14 because people donated some flowers, and we sent flowers almost with every order. And she said, the flower you sent me on that day, I'm going to keep it as a reminder of me becoming a better person for those people who believe in us and supported us throughout this time.
Wow.
It's like, what? So I preached about it, and I said to our Latino community, to our congregation, but to our Latino, we have over 20,000 followers. And I was saying, hey, we need to become better persons of ourselves to offer something. So the United States, people in the United States who see that Latinos are here not to damage, but to contribute, to be better persons, to make better communities where we live.
You were mentioning the heart, giving the heart symbol. It was really pretty astonishing when we were putting together the containers of food, how many of potatoes came out of the bags shaped like hearts. I kid you not. I think I took some video or a picture of that because it was astounding. There was just one after the other. There were probably 6 potato hearts in just that period of time. And I'm like,
I didn't know that. I seen those on a picture maybe on Google or on somewhere.
Hey, I want to tell you about a product that I absolutely love. They are my Cozy Earth pajamas. They are just soft and buttery, and I can't tell you, I would actually prefer to wear them all day long. Now, I've arranged a fantastic discount for my listeners of Life Unscripted. Enter promo code AKLIFE for 21% off any product you purchase at Cozy Earth. Once again, that's 21% off. Go to CozyEarth.com and use promo code AKLIFE, and let's get cozy. Tell me about the operation that you have to people out there just trying to understand, the concept of what you're doing, where you get the donations and then people come together and it's essentially, assembly line. And what kind of food are people getting? What kind of other products? And how is this system working? I thought it was very much to me like kind of a
assembly line,
and a well-run assembly line with everybody knowing very specifically what their job is, and you're just like seeing so many containers of food and then the people picking them up. But describe for people what this organization, what your community is doing?
We've been doing this for some time, but the system changed a little bit to do this amount of deliver orders, and on top of that, deliveries. Because what you saw, I don't know if you went to the front and saw the drivers
I
were
saw
able to
a
see
line of
the
cars
registration.
that were, yes.
It's a whole process that it came together, because before it was, we were doing an average of 400 families. In the pandemic, one day we did 613 orders, not deliveries, just orders. 43,000 pounds of food in a single day. And I thought that was record. We over 3-4 times, we overpassed that now with this. So, and the process that we have right now, the way we do it is ideas, not just from my wife and I or the leaders from La Viña, it's from people from the community. I suggest you to do this. There was days where we had so much cardboard, and we're like, what are we going to do? And the lady say, hey, why don't you ask the volunteers to take some cardboard with them to their homes? And we did that, and there was no cardboard at the end of the distributions. But to answer your question, if you would ask me about sometime in November before this happened, if this was possible, I would say for sure, no. The groceries, the food comes from the community, about 20%, because there were weeks where we were doing 160,000 pounds of food on a week. So remember I said about an average of 18,000 pounds of food come from Second Harvest through the Son of Foundation, which is the organization we've been working with. So the other 80% comes directly from people who goes and buys it and brings it to us. Some has donated cash, and whenever we're running low on something, we go and purchase, There were weeks where we were going through to Sam's Club and purchasing 4,800. There was one week. The other weeks it was more like 2,000, 3,000, but there was one week when we purchased $4,800 of groceries.
There were carrots and potatoes and fruits and tortillas and meat.
Yes. So we have proteins. We want to make sure people have proteins. The program we have through Second Harvest, it's very low on proteins. And many times we don't even get any proteins. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
Especially chicken, We don't. I seen it in the last maybe year, maybe once every 3 months, we see chicken. So to answer, in the order you will see nowadays, because the community has stand up or stood up.
The community is standing up.
We have chicken, we have beans, we have rice, we have cereal, we have toiletry, We have potatoes, we have carrots, we have and then,
are some of those coming from farmers? I'm just curious.
Some of it comes from farmers, because that program only runs on Mondays. And then the other days we were doing it, it's donations from the community. So
how can people help? How can they donate? How can they deliver? I'm sure that you will probably get a few people who will hear about this and want to be a part of helping people, just the bare minimum, unfortunately. You're doing a wonderful thing, but you'd think something like food, with how much food we have in this country, that nobody should be going hungry. And you clearly have, you're on a mission, and other people want to be a part of it too.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share this, because I was saying in the beginning that some people think this is over. Most of the agents are gone, this is over. But I have been saying the damage has already been done. 3 months without a work, almost, 3.5 months without being able to go to work, that really drains your finances. And I have to say, this is not good about our community, and maybe in general, but let me speak about the Latino community. We're not good at savings. And whenever I have the opportunity, I want to share about our vision, what we have for our community. We want to be able not to just serve food, but also have programs where we teach people how to run their finances. We want to have programs for children to get involved in sports. We want to offer ESL classes because when someone speaks a language, has better opportunities of finding a better job, making more money to support their families. But anyways, going back to say, how can you help? You can go and purchase the groceries by yourself and bring it to us. We are there every Monday and Thursdays, 3 to 6 p.m. And I don't know how long more we're going to be running Thursdays because before this, we were just there on Mondays. But for sure, we're going to be there throughout March and April. We'll see. We're still evaluating.
That is through the Facebook page, or is there
people can see it on our webpage, which is iglesiavina.org. They can see it on our Facebook page as La Viña Burnsville, or they can see it on our Instagram page. They can find that information in there. So Mondays and Thursdays, 3 to 6 p.m., we are there to receive donations, but also to have our food distribution. They can also donate online using a link to donate financially. That money is being used to buy groceries, but also to support families with rental assistance. There's so many families right now suffering. Can I tell you one more thing?
Absolutely.
This was not happening in December or even January, but February and March, we have seen an increase of people, of messages, because it used to be just food, but now it's like, I need help with rent. I need help with rent. I'm afraid of being evicted. I already received a notification saying that I have until, this day for me to come up with the money. Or there's people who I'm not behind because I borrow money from my friend or from a family member, but I'm afraid of March. Now
Right.
I'm afraid of April. April is coming. I already owe last month to my family members, so they have no way of proving to us, because no organization is going to help you if you don't prove on paper or email something that you already received a notification of being late, and they're not receiving it because they borrow money from friends or family members. But I say that to say that there's a lot of need now with rent, and we are not covering the whole month of rent, because usually, the average here in Minnesota, I think it's like $1,400. We are only doing $1,250 for those that qualify. Alex, we used to do the whole Minnesota. Up until 2 weeks ago, we were helping people with rent throughout Minnesota. Now, because the funds are drying, we are only doing Dakota County, Richfield, and Bloomington. We still do outside of those areas. If you have someone in your household, for example, your husband or wife were taken, we are helping those families no matter where in Minnesota they live. We are helping families who are single moms who have 3 or more children. No matter where you live, if you receive a notification of being late, we want to help you. We want to be there for you. But now the funds are running dry.
All of the links that you just mentioned here, I'm going to put on my page.
Yes,
so
please.
I will make sure that people, if you didn't get the names of all the links, I will make sure to put them on my notes page.
Please. I wanted to get the word out. I accepted your invitation for 2 main reasons. There's more, but 2 main reasons. One of them is to thank our community. I want to speak to you. If you're watching this video, I want to speak to you, and I want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you for everything you have done so far. Thank you. Thank you for every hour you have spent coming to volunteer. Thank you for every dollar you have spent to purchase groceries or to donate to us so we can purchase it. Thank you so much. If I haven't thanked you personally, please forgive me, because we have been busy, but thank you for everything you have done for our neighbors, for our community. And God bless you. And the second
And the
Did I
second
say?
thing, don't forget
The
the second.
second thing, I wanted to do it. I accepted your invitation because I want people to know that this is not over. The damage has already been done. It's like layers of the damage. You know what I mean? We talked about the mental health. We talked about the financial help. We talked about, practical things like people weren't able to make the car payments. The cars were taken. So now they're not able to come get the groceries. We want to be there for these families until they can get in their feet and start, sustaining themselves, their families. So that's why I accepted this invitation, because I want people to hear that this is not over yet and we do need your help. Please help us, help these people.
So many great stories to tell, and we want you to keep it here. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with Life Unscripted. One way to elevate your look is by a pair of great eyeglasses. And I have a lot of them. I have prescription eyeglasses. I have sunglasses. Why? Well, because, I need to see, and also to protect my eyes from the bright sunshine. And I have found some very stylish eyewear from Aquila. Here they have eco-friendly frames, so many different colors. We've got classic black, and they are affordable. They're made in LA, but they're not just for movie stars. And I have a great deal for you, for all of my listeners. Just use the promo code AKLIFE, and you will get 10% off. 10% off of any of the frames there at aquila.la. You can also find the deal on my show notes. Just click on that link, and you get 10% off of Aquila eyewear. And you were talking about, you have people coming from out of state. You also have people coming from out of the country who are showing up and saying, I'm either from Minnesota, I want to help. How can I help? They're using their vacation time to do this.
We had a person who came from Greece. He said, I used to live in Minnesota. I have friends, and I don't remember if he said family, but for sure friends. And he said, I'm here this week because I was due for a vacation. I went to meet him, and I thanked him personally. I said, thank you for doing this. He said, yeah, Pastor, I could not go on vacation knowing what's happening in Minnesota, and I decided to come here for a week. So he came, and he was the whole week. And then there was another lady who came from New York with her son. They drove. They have New York plates. They drove and they were here for a week. At that moment, I think we were doing it 3 days a week. And she was there all 3 days with her son, helping out from start to finish, helping out because, and not only that, she said, my friends find out that my son and I were going to do this, and they say, how can I help? So they gave me some money, and here are the groceries. She went and purchased some groceries. I had a doctor who said, hey, I'm here this week for meetings. And I don't remember exactly, but what I got from him, he's a rich man. And he has money. He owns clinics and stuff. And he said, I'm here. How can I help? You need something. And I was going to ask him to help me pack something, but he said, do you need something? Well, we're low on meat. We're low on eggs and milk. And he went and he did, I think he did 4 trips to Costco. And the last time he went, he brought 10 pizzas for the volunteers.
Oh, really? Oh,
yes. I had another guy from Florida. He used to live here, and he retired. He's retired. He said, I'm going to go help. He came in for 2 weeks, paid for a hotel, and he was volunteering, not just at La Viña. He was volunteering, I think, at the diaper bank here in St. Paul. He was volunteering in different places. All day he would use it to volunteer. He would not get tired for 2 weeks. And, when you see that, you feel a sense of peace, rest, because this is tiring. It's a lot, mentally, physically. My wife, I haven't talked to her about my wife.
Well, talk about her. Let's hear about her.
I don't know if you saw her yesterday. She has a yellow vest, Rocio. She has a round face. She's part Asian.
Okay, yes.
But she's
was
Mexican.
There, yes.
I'm the face. I'm talking to people. I'm the one doing interviews and stuff. but she is behind all of this. She does a lot of stuff. You saw the, how do you call it, the process of how we do things in there. Some of those ideas came from members of the community, but many of those ideas came from her. She is the one. And she gets there like an hour or two before I get there to make sure we pull everything out. Now, Alix, there's one thing that I haven't talked to you about. We've been doing this for many years. You saw our warehouse, right?
Yes.
It's probably 1,500 square feet. It's outside. It's not, well, we just activated a small heater in the corner. And everything else, we do it outside. And we don't stop. We haven't stopped.
And people are there when it's cold, and we've seen that in many ways throughout the state. But as far as volunteering, we've seen people protest, but people are out there in very cold weather. But, they're there
most
for
of the stuff,
something else.
Alix, most of the stuff is done outside. Or with the doors open, with the garage doors open, because it's
so
not
if you want to volunteer, you have to also, if it's cold out, just dress for it. That's all you need to know.
Yes. That's why it's important to mention it, because many times you go to volunteer and it's indoors. Mm-hmm. We see in other places, and I thank God for other places because there's more help, right? But they have huge warehouses. They have huge buildings. They have huge budgets. Us, La Viña, we've been doing this, and you know what our budget for last year was? $5,000.
$5,000?
$5,000. Our vision and mission and how we've been doing these things, how we want to do it moving forward. Because if we have been able to do this with $5,000 in my day off, can you imagine how much we can do if we have the finances to hire someone who can... I'm also I'm a husband. I'm a father. I need days off.
Of course you do.
I don't have it. You know why? Because we don't have money. So I want people to hear this, because very soon you're going to be hearing me speaking about our vision and mission, about how we want to empower people.
You don't offer fish. You teach someone how to fish. And that's truly how you help someone, is by giving them the skills to get their own fish.
That's within our vision. But we don't have the finances. I don't have the finances to to pay a teacher to teach ESL classes. We don't have the finances to pay a food shelf director to run it. It's me and my wife in my day off.
You said there is another need out there that you haven't really talked about.
Early when we started doing this in a bigger way or amount, where people come in, volunteers will come in and say, Pastor Miguel, how can I help? And, I know we're doing this, which is great, food. But this one person said, maybe I can drive children to school. I can take someone to court. I can go purchase something specific that we don't offer here. And as she's talking to me, I remember seeing some messages from members from our community, not from our church. We had some, and they were being taken care of by our own church members to drive people to, let's say, children to school or to courts. But there were other members of our communities outside of our church who were asking for someone to take him to a court day, someone to take him to, not a court day, because I don't know if you remember, asylum seekers, they have to present themselves. They have to be seen, right. Some of them monthly. Some of them, with this that was happening, if I could be wrong, but I think I heard like weekly. And I'm like, what's weekly now? I think it was putting pressure on it.
I think in some cases, too, I think the concerning part was it was kind of a trap in some respects. And that some people weren't showing up specifically because there have been many stories of people showing up for the court day, doing exactly what they're told to do. Yes. And this is what happens.
They will trap them.
They trap them.
Yes. Members from the community, Caucasians, Americans, they would say, I can do things like that. So we had some people, not too many, we had some people who drove some members of our communities to court days to present themselves for the asylum process. And we had some who were getting rights to work, so there was something also beautiful that we saw within our community here in Minnesota. Americans coming up to say, hey, not only I can come in and package food or deliver food to people's home, but I can also take someone to a court hearing or something. So there was something very beautiful to do.
Well, thank you so much. It's moving just to watch you and to talk about this is obviously is changing lives, making people.
You see passion?
I do.
And you know why? I love God and I love people.
Well, Pastor Miguel, it is La Viña Church, and so many good things are happening for the community, and all really, it began because of you. I know you have a lot of support, but it's a pleasure to meet you, and I would guess that there will be a lot more donations and volunteers coming your way because, as you said, the need is still great. It is still very much a crisis, and it is not over, not even close to being over. This is going to be felt for probably years to come, and it will be generational. So any support that you can offer, I will make sure to get that information to you, links onto my webpage of Life Unscripted. But thank you so much for coming on today. It was a pleasure meeting you. And
it's an honor.
My heart goes out to everyone and also to the volunteers. I can say that they are the bright light in kind of a dark time right now. All the people who are showing up, it's really remarkable, and it's hope, and we need that.
Thank you. It's an honor. Thank you for inviting me, and thank you for coming to volunteer. I saw you yesterday building those boxes with produce and meats and carrying them. You and your daughter.
I brought my daughter.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
you are the only reporter that has come to volunteer that I remember. Maybe a passing one, but I remember most of them that were there for. Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for listening to Life Unscripted. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and write me a review. Let me know what you think of the podcast. And when you buy any of the products and use my promo code AKLIFE, I get paid. And you help support the podcast.